Welcome to the Dusty Muffins, where menopause meets sisterhood and strength. We're three menopause specialists coming together to laugh, share, and empower you through the wild ride of menopause and perimenopause. Whether you're curious, confused, or just looking for real talk, you're in the right place. We're here to answer your burning questions, educate, and advocate, all with a dash of humor and a lot of heart. So pull up your chair and join the conversation. Before we dive in, please remember, while we're doctors, we're not your doctors. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice. We encourage you to partner with your own medical clinician to address your unique health needs. This is the Dusty Muffins.
Go ahead and tag your people, tag your friends, because y'all do not want to miss this one. I had our special guest. I had her before, and y'all, oh my goodness, the views on this particular subject was up here. Y'all was really ready for this conversation. So I'm not going to say her name yet, but we're bringing her back, and she's actually bringing some friends with her today. So again, I'm super excited about this one. But go ahead and tag your people, tag your friends, and let them know, that Wellness Wednesday is live. But as you all are coming in, I also just want to take the time to say that I am so proud of y'all. Like, I see you posting every day about your consistency with these workouts, and I'm just so happy and I'm so proud of you guys. Like, being that I am, on my postpartum journey, consistency hits different nowadays. Like, I've always been very active, always, just doing the most in the gym, doing my workouts. It was like, it just came natural. Always been active, but honey, let me tell you, since having baby girl, which I'm so thankful and blessed for, sometimes I just don't feel like doing nothing. I mean, I'm like, where I need some sleep. Like, you talking about working out, cooking, meal prepping, I need sleep. but yet here I am. I'm still showing up. I'm making sure that I'm getting these workouts in. I'm making sure that I'm getting these meals together, honey. But it hits different, and it's such a humbling experience too, because like I said, I'm here. I don't know, like, it's like I'm doing the same things that I used to do, but with a different set of energy, if that makes sense. It's like, I always joking with my friends and say, I have that crackhead energy because I'm always like, go, 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 go. But now it's days where I show up, but it takes me a little longer. Or I'm like, man, I have a lot of real tough conversations with myself daily, because I know the commitment that I know I need to put in order to reach my goals. But sometimes, some days I just feel off, and I am really using this season to give myself grace. Everybody keeps saying, like, give yourself grace, give yourself grace. And it's so easy to say, give yourself grace, but do you really know what it means? Like, that's me talking to myself. I'm like, do I really know what giving myself grace looks like? And one thing I had to keep in mind, and I'm still keeping in mind during this whole postpartum journey, is that progress is not linear. And that's okay. Some days I'm like a machine, and some days I'm a little off, and that's okay. And I'm learning that about myself, and I'm still setting my goals. I'm still, staying committed. And I also had to remind myself, because I do like everything to be in order, but trying to be perfect, it's like the enemy of progress. Because when you're trying to wait for the perfect time, or when I get this energy, or when I do this and I want to, baby, just get up and do it. It's so many times where I'm like, okay, and I set myself up for this. On the days that I don't teach, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna just work out a little later, because I'll probably like wake up by then, if I'm tired. And I'm not gonna hold you. Some days it's 9 p.m. It's time for bed, and that workout didn't get done. So I had to like nip that in the bud real quick, and I said, I'm not going to wait to the perfect time to work out if I know that I have the opportunity to do it right now. So I am learning the new definition of grace, and I am giving it to myself each and every day. So shout out to you guys for the commitment that you put in for yourself, the consistency that you are doing with your workouts and meal prepping. And I just want to let you know that I see you. I see you, and don't take it for granted, because it's not always easy, right? But our 5 minutes are coming up, and again, hopefully you already tag your people and tag your friends. And I'm super excited. I'm going to go ahead and bring my special guests in and let them introduce themselves. Well, hello, beautiful people.
Hello.
Hello.
Awesome. So I'm just gonna have each of you just introduce yourself, and then we're gonna get into today's hot topic.
All right. Hi, E2M. I'm back. I'm Dr. Christine Hart Kress. I'm a board certified women's health nurse practitioner and a Menopause Society certified practitioner in menopause, of course. I own my own telemedicine practice and where I deliver midlife and menopause care. And what's new since the last time I was here are my friends. I mean, they were my friends before, but we are now collectively known. Are we ready, ladies? 1, 2, 3. We are the
Dusty Muffins.
I love
We didn't
that.
practice
No, we didn't.
So I'm here with my two wonderful colleagues, my Menno besties, and I will pass off to Dr. Rebbecca Hertel.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Dr. Rebbecca Hertel. I am a board certified osteopathic family medicine physician and a certified menopause practitioner. I also have a telemedicine practice, but I'm based in Pennsylvania, but I'm licensed in roughly 10 states. So I take care of perimenopausal, menopausal women as well.
Hi, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. My name is Aoife O'Sullivan. I am a family physician and a Menopause Society certified physician over here in Oregon. And I see patients via telemedicine from Oregon and Washington.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here with us in this Wellness Wednesday. And at the end, I definitely want to learn more about this Dusty Muffins, because I need to know how y'all came up with the name and all of that. But we're going to save that to the end. But yes, guys, we are talking about menopause and perimenopause today. It is a very hot topic in general, but a very hot topic here at E2M. And I am so happy that we are able to discuss some of the questions that you all submitted. So probably like 2 weeks ago, I put up a Google Doc in the group and allowed some of our members to jot down these questions that they have. Because yes, we always provide great information, but I wanted to know, like, what questions do you guys have? And you did not disappoint and submitted quite a few questions. But I realized when I was kind of like going through the questions, a lot of them were similar. So we're just gonna hop right into it. And this is from Coletta, hopefully I said your name right, and Lisa. They both talked about the struggles of having energy. And they said like the energy struggle is real. Or where did my energy, stamina, and strength go? So with that being said, our first question is, how should one's diet look in perimenopause, and what should their workout plan consist of? Whoever would like to take that.
That's a loaded question.
It's like a two-part. Let's talk about the nutrition part first.
Yeah. So I'll start with protein. Protein, you need protein to build muscle. You need muscle to burn fat, which is what most of us are trying to do because we have that natural shape shift of that subcutaneous fat, which is the fat in our hips and thighs and breasts, that all of a sudden shifts to our middle. That visceral fat, which I know we've talked about, is metabolically active and increases your risks for things like high cholesterol, cardiovascular disease, even some cancers. And so, protein is like a full-time job. And in general, you need 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. And I think protein is just a challenge, but I think one of the ways to at least set your day up for success is to get that protein in at breakfast and set that foundation. And I'll pause and let my colleagues kind of jump in with me.
I'll do fiber.
Yeah.
Fiber is so important. There are other countries where they get over 100 grams of fiber in their diet a day. And in America, we struggle to get 30 grams.
Oh, wow.
And it's so important for the microbiome in our gut, which is really the center of everything. That's where even some of our neurotransmitters like serotonin can be made. And that's all dependent on our microbiome, which is dependent on fiber intake. So really, really important. And if you can, it's important to get it through your fruits and vegetables and food. But if you really feel like you can't take that in, and a lot of people also are on some weight loss medicines, which really decrease their appetite, which makes it hard to get all your protein and fiber in. So sometimes you do end up needing a supplement, and then it is safe to take a fiber supplement as well.
Yeah. And, I can tie kind of all of that together. So, the protein and fiber and your carbs and your fats. And so I always say, it doesn't start in perimenopause. We really should be thinking about this clean eating far before that, right? Our kids, our 20s, our teen, all of that, because then that just really sets us up for just being really, really great at this point in our life. And so there needs to be that shift. So for one thing, and then I agree too, that protein. And for women who are on, or men who are on those GLPs, that I tell them, got to start with getting that protein in first. Don't drink with your meals. Get your protein in, and then all around that should be this pretty plate of greens and fruits and your fiber. And so, your salads, your vegetables, your low glycemic fruits, because we're not chasing after our prey. I'm not running after something I need to eat. So we don't need all those carbohydrates. But if we do, we want the ones that have that lower glycemic. So your berries and things like that. So.
Oh, nice. Good to know. All right. And that was, I like how you all kind of taught, can't even get my words together. You all focus on different things of the meal, of our plate, right? And for those of you who may feel like, oh, well, I don't really know where to get recipes from, we do have an E2M foodie page, as well as, there's E2M kitchen. We have cookbooks. There's always plenty of recipes on Pinterest. So let that not be an excuse for why you're not getting those meals in due to recipes, because these ladies just let you know, get your protein, your fiber, and of course the healthy carbs and the healthy fats. So going into our next part of that question, we talked about the nutrition. They want to know, what kind of workouts should they focus on? And I'm actually going to tie in Rochelle's question. I'm sorry, it's not Rochelle. Lisa's second part of her question was, should you focus on more cardio or strength training? I think that's something that's really big that I see a lot in the group. And it kind of goes into like, well, what workout plan should we do? Cardio versus strength training, or a collaboration of both?
Yeah. I guess I don't mind starting with that one. And sometimes it changes as we're aging, right? So what even 10 years ago for me in my, late 30s has changed now in my late 40s as to what I can do. So for my patients and for myself, so I practice what I preach. I lift 3 to 4 days a week, as heavy as I can without hurting myself, right? So let's be realistic about what you can do. You really should be repping out. And you can increase those things. Use a trainer if you need a trainer, and follow your workouts. And then I do a cardio 2 to 3 days a week and incorporate stretching into that as well. I will be the first to admit I'm not the best stretcher. That's been a New Year's resolution, and it's now May. So, but I used to run and do a lot of cardio. And now as I'm aging, that's just tougher on my joints. So I'm doing more zone 2, which lasts longer throughout that week with some sprints at the end. And so if you're still like, I got to get that 1 day of cardio, then I love that like sit. And I'll do that. I even do that once a week. So it kind of just, the best workout is the one that you're going to actually do when it really comes down to it. Right. But as women, we need to stay strong. We need to keep that lean muscle mass, keep our bones strong so we don't break when we fall and we can get up off the ground.
Yeah. I just had this exact conversation with a patient just before we jumped on here. And honestly, for each woman, it can be so different. Like I would say, if I was really generalizing, that the cardio that we used to do before we were perimenopausal does not have the same effects and does not feel as beneficial during perimenopause as it did beforehand. And we tend to do better with exercises that are more HIIT kind of focused. where you're getting that little spike in heart rate and then let it drop, and a spike and a drop. And I know Christine loves and Rebbecca, the sprint intervals. But they're so good for you. And I think some of us are more sensitive maybe to cortisol levels. And when we do those really intense cardio workouts, sometimes we can get a big cortisol spike. And cortisol is best buddies with insulin, and the two of them tend to travel together and can cause you not to feel great and to have a different effect on your metabolism when you're going through perimenopause. And then you'll meet other women who do just fine doing their cardio like they always have. So we're generalizing saying that, but I would say in general, cardio feels different when you hit perimenopause.
Yeah. And I mean, you need muscle to burn fat, right? So the more muscle you have, the higher your basal metabolic rate is going to be. And so that's burning, burning your fat at rest, right? The number of calories that you can burn at rest. And so that muscle is just so important. But, if you really want to build muscle, less reps, heavy weight. For E2M, every round, you should be looking at picking up a heavier weight. Maybe you won't be able to do that weight for the entire minute, but if you can get, 4 to 6 reps at failure, you're going to be building better lean muscle mass for yourself. The other thing about, cardio, I just had a conversation, your cholesterol says a lot about what you're doing, right? And so I was talking to a patient, I'm like, your HDL is 32. I can tell looking at it. You do not have any, your HDL is your good cholesterol. It's protective for your heart. I can tell that you are not challenging your heart. You are not doing any cardio. She's like, I don't do any exercise. And I said, and I can see that. And so, if you want to protect your heart, you need 150 minutes of cardio. Walking is absolutely fine for that. And then if you want to lose weight, you need 300 minutes. And I was just listening to a podcast that said, one of the best things that you can do to not have an insulin spike after you eat dinner is even take a 5 to 10 minute walk, that it will reduce your insulin and your glucose spikes by 50%. So I think that, I think it's a combination, but I think, and there's so many different opinions, but the thing I know that everyone agrees upon is lift heavy.
I love that. I love that you tapped on too about the HIIT workouts as well as lifting heavy and making sure you're like challenging yourself. And that's so of course in E2M we have those HIIT style workouts as well as the cardio classes that we offer, so you can get both of them here. But I want to also tap into a little bit about premium. I love that with premium we do offer those gym workouts for those who want to lift heavier in the gym but kind of don't know what to do. So definitely guys, if you're like still not familiar with E2M Premium, we do have those gym workouts over there. And one thing that I always say during my lives is like increase the weight. But the beautiful thing about increasing the weight, and if it's too heavy, you can always put it down. You can always pick up those lighter weights and just keep, you can keep trying. So with that being said, while you're doing your workouts, and if you are like, man, I'm gonna try to use these 15s, and it's like, oh, I can only get 5, that's still great. That's great. You just getting better each time. I like to look at those challenges as data. So okay, I was able to do 5 with 15. Let me see what I can do next week or the week after that. So definitely don't ever feel discouraged, guys, if you are trying to lift that heavier weight safely, of course, and you're not able to do as many reps as you think you should be able to. Just continue to practice. Make sure you're eating. Make sure you continue to work out, and it will get better over time. So thank you for that. Our next question is from Rochelle. She said, should we be taking any type of vitamins to help with bone health and brain fog?
There's a few things that seem to tank during the menopause transition. I would say when I check them on patients, usually vitamin D is low and vitamin B12 and very often a woman's iron stores, her ferritin. And during perimenopause, our periods can really change and they can get very heavy, they can get more frequent. And without even realizing it, we're losing iron. And so all of that can really contribute to your brain fog, memory, concentration, and energy as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with vitamin D, now I will caveat this, we're not your providers, but what I do with my patients is I like a vitamin D over 60. I think women feel better, their brain works better, it's good for bone protection. I think that, one of the things that I see is a lot of women literally they'll come to a visit and they're like, hold on a minute, and then they bend down and they pull their tub of supplements and put it on the table in front of the computer, and I'm like, what is that? All my supplements, because you listen to somebody on a podcast or you see an advertisement, and then you're taking all of these supplements, and supplements are expensive, and then you get a B12 level and your B12 is like 2,000, which we need it more than 450. Women feel great around 600-700. And so getting your B12, getting your ferritin, your vitamin D, your folate checked, and then supplementing, I think is, the better way than just guessing. And then, the one thing I'll add on vitamin D is that 180 micrograms of K2 helps you get the vitamin D into your bones. And so that's a great additive to make sure that your vitamin D has K2 in it.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with all of that. And I always say, get all that you can through healthy food, right? So our calcium, same. There's a lot in there, and then there are great supplemental calciums that are food based, which are fantastic. And I love you can get the vitamin D and the K2 together. It just is so much easier to do too. So you're not taking two different supplements. I do like a good magnesium at night I think, it crosses that blood-brain barrier and just helps with like thought process and sleep and relaxation. There's different types of magnesium. So unless you don't want to be running to the bathroom, watch the type of mag that you're getting, or maybe you do need to go to the bathroom. So you need to get that type of magnesium. So I think we all agree that food is your best source of all of, your supplements. And then we supplement in, like we said, depending on where you live. PA, everyone's on D. I barely even check it because we're so far away from the equator and we're all low here. And again, because you're losing that iron through a period every month or multiple, that is such a big one not to miss for patients.
Okay, I love that. You kind of tapped into the next question that I had, because a lot of people wanted to know what were natural options available for dealing with some of the common symptoms. And of course, the vitamins that you all listed are super great, but you said it's food. You can get a lot of that from food. So if you wanted to add anything on that, feel free. But if not, we'll hop into the next question.
Yeah, just, an anti-inflammatory diet. Dairy's very inflammatory.
Yes, remember sugar really inflames. Dairy can inflame. And listen to your body. I think there's something to be said for that, right? If you're eating something and all of a sudden you're like, I just don't feel well, I'm bogged down, I have low energy, maybe it didn't happen to you 10 years ago, but it's happening now. I mean, I can barely eat ice cream anymore. It really upsets my stomach. And certain breads especially if they're not whole grain, and it may not truly be, an allergy. I talk a lot about this with my patients. I'm like, our gut changes, the microbiome changes. These foods we just don't do well with. And I think, again, let's look at that. Like, do we need it? We don't need it. We may want it, but we don't necessarily need that food. And so, watch the treats that you're having, make it a good one, and then, move on. And if you have it, you're okay. Don't just, get up and try again the next day.
I love that. I have two more questions for you, beautiful ladies. My next question is, does menopause or perimenopause cause a rise in blood pressure?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
In some, it can.
So
There's-
estrogen is anti-inflammatory. And so when you have estrogen, it keeps everything, your vessels dilated and open. And when you don't have it, they get tight and squeezy. And so we see blood pressure rise, but we also see cholesterol, get out of control. We just did a podcast and we just released that this week where we talked about that. And I did the confessions of my bad cholesterol and my colleagues yelled at me. Yeah, so I'll flip over to you guys to add to that.
Well, there's a study called the SWAN study, the study of women's health across the nation, that's been going on since the 90s. And there's over 3,000 women in it. And they were all perimenopausal when they entered the study. So they're all in their 70s now. And they're still being followed. I think this year was maybe like their 17th or 18th visit, if we still have funding. Who knows? And they have measured all those measures in women, all the blood pressure and their sugar levels as those years have gone on. And you can clearly see as women enter that menopausal transition, the few years coming up to their last period, that their blood pressure increases and their cholesterol increases, directly tied to your loss of hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll just add to that too, that, that's some of that is a natural process of aging. As we age, our arteries get stiffer. And so, I have some women that never have any blood pressure issues. And I have some that do, whether they're have bigger body compositions, smaller body compositions, genetics, all of that plays a part in that as well. Right. So, but again, we also do see this in the transition where all of a sudden they're like, it just like is ticking up and I'm not sure what I did, or I didn't do anything differently. And so for some women, they really have that blood pressure change through that perimenopause and menopause transition.
Okay, thank you for that. And before we get to that last question, I just want to take the time to say thank you so much for just allowing us to get all this good knowledge. Again, I know this is a very hot topic. They're probably going to want a part 2, part 3, part 4, because we were not able to get through all of the questions, but it was, these are some of the common questions that I saw repeated on the Google Doc. So thank you for your time. But my last question, which is super important because we talked a lot about intermittent fasting in E2M, is it recommended during perimenopause and menopause?
It's a hot topic.
Opinions.
Yeah. So, right. There's a lot of different studies depending on who you follow. I recommend my patients to do what works for them. If intermittent fasting works for you and you can do it, and that's the way, that you're seeing your energy levels staying up, you're able to, eat the right things in that smaller amount of time, great, do it. I cannot do it. Some of my patients cannot do it. And they just don't feel well. So I really talk about just all the different options as far as that. And obviously there's lots of different intermittent fasting options. For some people, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and that's their fast. I do say do not eat typically after dinner, 2 hours before bedtime. And that's just for a lot of different reasons, just adequate sleep, digestion, heartburn, reflux, things like that.
Yeah, I think the body needs time to digest, right? So you need to, not make your body work all the time trying to digest food. So at minimum 12 hours of just letting your gut just chill out and process all that you've put into it for the day. But if you wake up hungry, eat something. And I think, that there is a lot of controversy over should you exercise fasted or not fasted, depending on who you talk to. But it doesn't, giving yourself a handful of blueberries or, a rice cake with some peanut butter may help you have a better workout if you're finding you're just super fatigued. That's one of the things in the in our space that, people are thinking that you do need a little bit of food before you go into before you exercise for best performance.
I think go with your gut, excuse the pun. But I really think, we notice this with our patients when we use medications as well, that women just know whether something suits them or not. And if you give intermittent fasting a try and you feel wonderful on it, your brain is clear, you work well, you feel good, you know that that works for you. But there'll be an equal number of women who try it who don't feel well at all, have headaches, feel sluggish. And they know then, that doesn't suit you, and you can find something else that suits you. So it's really nuanced, which is a word we use a lot in menopausal medicine. But we're just such finely tuned little machines, and we're so different to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that you kind of hit on that too with the last topic we talked about, as far as with the what was it? We were talking about with the vitamins and also with the exercise. It kind of depends on the person. The cardio, that's what it was. When you're saying some people, they can do their cardio like never before. Some people it's different. I love how you highlight that it is different for everyone. Like, we are not the same person. We may have access to some of the same things, but that doesn't mean it's going to suit us the same way. So guys, listen, if you feel like it works for you, perfect. That's something that we definitely encourage here, and we want you all to feel great. But again, our bodies are different. Our bodies respond to things different. So if you need to switch it up a little bit, that is perfectly fine. But guys, again, you all have, I'm sure, blessed the audience with so much knowledge and information. Like I said, this is a very hot topic, and I would love, hopefully, to have you again in the future. But I said I was going to circle back to this. How did we come up with the Dusty Muffins? Let us know a little bit about the Dusty Muffins, your podcast, and let us know how we can stay in contact with you guys.
I'm gonna let Christine all give us all the goods on that one.
Well,
Great story.
So we were looking for a podcast name, and of course, we wanted something unique, and the three of us were kind of going back and forth, and we didn't really come up with anything. And then my husband's like, I think you should just call yourself the Dusty Muffins, because from the Saturday Night Live skit, where they were, the two newscasters and Betty White. And so I'm the oldest, so I guess that makes me Betty of our group here. And then, and then I told Rebbecca and Aoife, and I kind of rolled my eyes, and they're like, I love it. And we all do struggle with our Dusty Muffins, and
That's right.
We're in the fixing the Dusty Muffin business, and so that pun just works, and it's catchy.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. So again, guys, you heard they have the podcast. Go ahead and make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Where else can we find you? Do you have like Instagram, YouTube?
All of that. Yes. Instagram, YouTube. The podcast is on, Amazon, everywhere you can find us. We're all on social media as well.
You want to give your social media handle, Rebbecca?
We would love
Dr. Rebbecca Hertel, DO.
And mine is Portland Menopause Doc.
And I'm Christine Hart Kress _DMP. And then our podcast is just at The Dusty Muffins.
I love it. Okay, guys. Well, we are coming close to an end. Again, thank you so much. And for those of you who are tapping into our Wellness Wednesday, every Wednesday we're here with a different topic. If you know that you have a topic that you would like to have us discuss, please let me know in the comments. Or even if you are interested in being interviewed for Wellness Wednesday, let me know in the comments as well. But again, thank you so much. And until next time, God bless.